251. Please be sure to download the Zingo and Barnburner apps in their respective app store on iOS and Android devices. Both apps are free. Be sure to leave a like and a comment while downloading. ZINGOTV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku, and Roku sticks. This is fun. Also on all smart TVs 2016 and newer. As always, I'd like to introduce Christian. Leah, how you doing, Christian?
How's it going, Jen? How are you?
I'm doing okay. I've lost my voice a little bit, so I'm going to be giving you a little bit more talking to do today.
Perfect.
And of course, our guest, Canadian-born Ken Hornick. He is with the scouting of the London Knights. That's an OHL team, and he's also done some professional scouting within the NHL. How you doing tonight, Ken?
I'm doing well. Actually, nice to have a little action for a change. Usually, I'm shutting her down by 9:30, going to bed, nothing else to do. But it's nice to be on here tonight.
That's good, and thank you so much for coming on. Why don't we start by you telling me what you're up to these days? All of our hockey has been a little hindered with, of course, this pandemic that we're going through. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you're going through and how it's affected you?
Mm. Well, it really has affected most people that are involved in the hockey world. I mean, some of these guys love it, and they're going crazy. Like, London, we usually have a real good grasp on the draft by the middle of November, because that's when the silver stick comes up. And we, I think like every other team, we're just, we're pulling straws right now, looking and trying to find information and trying to, watch what we can and go where we can, but there's just not a lot happening right now. It's just, we're basing our scouting on some video and some of the scouting that was done last year on the players that are eligible for the OHL draft, and the boys that are eligible for the OHL draft coming up, and it's supposed to be April 21, but I don't think that's going to happen. But they're all born in 2005, so the there's not much going on. There's been a lot of extra summer hockey and fall hockey this year, so it's been a bit of a bonus. But you don't get to see the kids in real game situations. It's been 4-on-4 and 5-on-5, and there's no body contact. But I'm actually been totally surprised by the way the games have turned out when there is no body contact, and the kids still play hard. And it's not like they don't body contact; they do rub each other out and stuff. So, but it's not the same game. But it's actually, I think it's been good for the kids that they keep playing anyway, at least. And right now, it's tough to play in Toronto because they still got the rule, but things are getting a bit different. Well, they're still open up in Hamilton, Burlington area, and I guess CAA Center will open up on Saturday. So, you could basically have your whole team out there to practice. So everything's been screwed up. We all know that.
Yes, indeed. You spoke a little bit about no body contact. And just recently I've seen on Twitter that the OHL is, entertaining the idea of cutting out body contact for their upcoming season. Starting, I believe they're guessing around February 4th, I think I heard, which happens to be my birthday.
Yeah, that was the date.
So happy birthday to me, hockey. But
Confirmed?
It's not confirmed. I don't know. I think it's still
that's kind of that's their next agenda they have ready to go about. If everything stays as normal as possible, that's the latest agenda. So,
well, now
we're hoping it happens.
Everything can be moved back. I mean, it's going to happen regardless. They're trying to make it work, right? But how do you feel about at this level, at the OHL level, there not being body contact? How that's going to affect the game, or positive or negative, both positively or negatively, in your opinion?
I don't know. I mean, there's never going to be a hockey game where there's no body contact. There's going to be some sort of body. I mean, even the women's hockey, there's no body contact, but I've seen some pretty nice hits out there. I think that it's body contact is kind of their way of saying, hey, we're going to do everything we can to play the game without body contact the best we possibly can, because there will be a little bit of body contact, but guys won't be lining guys up. And I mean, I can see it happening. I can see it being entertaining. I could also see things getting out of hand a little bit too. If somebody does actually come up with a big hit on a boy and he's on the ice laying there, and it could lead to some tough officiating for the referees as well. I think it would be so hard for a referee to call a hit on a kid. I mean, realistically, you're calling a hit every time because they're so fast and they're so tightly grouped together on the ice. So would it work? I really don't think it would. Could they try it? Yes. And would it be enjoyable to watch? It wouldn't be actually bad to watch, but I don't think a lot of people will pay to watch it.
No, for me, like one of the biggest things that sucked me into hockey was the physicality of the game. And I grew up on, predominantly 90s, but 80s and 90s. 80s was when my love affair started, of course, and also when I started on this planet. But I really like the game and the physicality. So for me, like if you take out certain aspects of, we've already kind of distinguished the whole role of the fighting. Fighting is kind of becoming more obsolete in hockey, which is okay. I mean, you've got your scrum here and there, but to take out one of the biggest aspects that drew me into hockey, it just I sit there and I try to think, like, how exciting would the game be? It'd be less exciting for me. Do you think that if they do find success, if this could trickle off and it could move into other leagues, AHL, NHL, and so on? I mean, there's so many people out there that
I hope not. I mean, I don't want to see that happen. I don't think it'd be these kids work out hard. They try to get strong, and strength is a big part of hockey. And I guess the only part of strength that would really, strength would still be important. Your skating and your shooting and, being in shape would be important, but man, I can't see it happen. I wouldn't want to see it. I don't think it would. I don't know if I'd stay in the game if there was no body contact.
Too much change.
I think it'd be tough to stick around and watch hockey.
Well, it would change the whole idea of the game. It would become a different game. And I think that, I mean, the newer generations, they're against, like, less hitting and fighting in hockey. They don't know what they're missing. Like they don't know what the game really was. I mean, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was a rough game. I believe the first hockey game ever played ended in a fight with both teams clearing the benches or whatever. Christian, let me know your thoughts on all this too, with you working with players at this level and how it could affect their career, their moving forward, their journeys in hockey.
I was going to ask Ken what it's like going out and watching and how many games he's actually seen as a 2005 age group and what it's kind of been like. And then kind of to touch on what Ken and I were speaking to, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about one of the players that I was trying to help out, find an American League deal. And I think Ken was sharing with me, he's like, man, I don't even know what's going on. He's like, I can't even give you a straight answer. He's like, until we get some sort of direction with the NHL, he's like, the AHL won't start, but at least we know the ECHL. When was their start date, Ken? When did they say that?
ECHL, I think it was going to be in January too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they were saying like January.
If they actually even made a date, I don't even know if they made a date to ECHL, but.
So speaking of somebody, I think I was speaking to DuPont or Dave the other day, and he was sharing with me that the ECHL was starting up. So I know that that's one of the leagues that's starting up. But they also said that they were going to be return to play with contact if they were going to have a league. So I just don't know how it's all going to work. I know the NHL worked and the NBA worked because they had the bubble, right? But I know players don't want to. They don't want to be in the bubble for that remainder of the year, right? So they just got to figure out how to make hockey safe and make travel safe and make it enjoyable. And I think that they should cancel it. I think if they are hitting out of hockey, I think that they should cancel the season. I think that the government is spending a lot of money, on a lot of businesses and on a lot of programs to keep them in place. I think the Ontario Hockey League and the CHL is another business that should be supported by the government. If you can't have fans participating in the games. The fans don't want to see the hitting, and the fans are what make the money. And the concessions is what make the money, and the sponsorship make the money. I do think that someone does have to step in, and kind of help these leagues out. With some of the finances if it is coming down to a financial struggle. Because at the end of the day, they're businesses too, right? They're just a governing body of businesses inside of a league. So. I don't know what do you think? Like, do you think that there's been any talks? Has there been any government assistance with major junior teams right now at all?
You know what? I haven't really asked. I don't ask many questions right now with everybody because I know everybody's under a bit of stress. But I mean, I talked to Mark Hunter, who is the GM of the Knights, on occasion, and he really doesn't even know what's going on. And Mark knows as much about hockey, what's going on, as anybody in the world. And, you know, like he says, you know, as much as I do about things. And I think everything's just kind of being thrown out there every day for these guys to try to figure it out. I mean, obviously London is a team that does have good success when it comes to, you know, the profit of an organization. They have a lot of fans that attend the games, and, you know, I'm sure they got a little cash sitting around. But some of these other teams that, you know, just aren't as big and aren't as successful as far as gate wise goes. You know, they could even team like Sarnia struggled a bit last year. So, you know, it costs a lot of money to run a hockey team, and, you know, to have people, you know, there's no well, the games are on Rogers. There's Sportsnet has a bit of a package with the CHL, but I don't think that they could share the wealth there and make every team be happy. I don't think that would happen. I just don't think there'd be enough money there involved. And, you know, basically the teams run off themselves. It's a business for, like you said, it's a business for each OHL organization, and every team has a president, a GM. They have, you know, sales, they have group sales, they have public relations, you know, they have sponsorship people. So it's a business, and it's a small business in a way, but it's a big business as well. And it's a business that I don't think can survive without fans. And obviously they're going to need some help. Christian, where they're going to get the help, I don't know.
Hopefully somebody comes in and saves them. I love the OHL. I love what you guys do every year. I love watching you guys. I think it's the second fastest league in the world. You know what I mean? I do think it's faster than a little bit faster than the American League. And I know some people won't like hearing that, but you know what I mean? The always hungry league, you know, just it's too quick. It's too close, you know, for anybody to skate, at least in the OHL. And with, you know, the NHL.
They're all trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to be, you know, scouted essentially and picked up for pro teams. So the OHL has always been entertaining. I've been going to OHL games since I was like 15, 16 in high school. I went to an athletic school, so I had actually a couple players that played on some OHL teams, and I used to go out to their games, traveled. You know, part of the reason why I fell in love with hockey was watching OHL games, the life in the games. So yeah.
For getting back, you sound like you like the rough stuff. I was at a game the other day, and it was a good game. And, you know, near the end of the game, these two kids decided to go at it, and it was the most exciting part of the night. Like, it really was. And, you know, we don't want to see people get hurt, but it's entertainment, and that's a big part of the game that, you know, kept a lot of people interested. And I think if you brought that back to some of the places that are hurting for fans, like in the US, some of the places let that stuff be a little bit of a part of the entertainment, it would be, you know, I think it'd be okay. But everybody's worried about the safety of people now, and the concussions and people getting hurt, and it's changed. And it's too bad it's had to leave the game, but I don't think it's ever really going to come back. I think it'll be a small part, but you still got to have the big tough guys and the strong guys and the guys who can play hard and hit hard. And, you know, you still got to protect your stars too.
I think players know what they're getting into. I mean, like, you've got some players that throw themselves in front of a puck, like facing it. I mean, I've seen so many players take a puck to the face. They know what they're up against. They know what they're doing. I mean, the concern from the fans and everyone else. I mean, for me, it's like, then honestly, if you don't like it, don't watch it. You know, don't ruin it for everyone else. I mean, the players know what they're getting themselves into. They want to be there. They're paid the big bucks, right? This could sound so insensitive, but I mean, like, this is where actually someone like myself comes into play, because I think it's very important that teams have, you know, more than just a team doctor or a psychologist, but, you know, a mentality coach, someone that works with their mentality through their everyday, and with everything, dealing with social media, relationships, friendships, teammates, everything, just kind of like an advisor, a guidance counselor, so to speak. I think this is a vital role that every team should have, and that they can kind of monitor each player with their injuries and keep track of things. You know what I mean? There's this one role. It's something that I've been kind of working towards for a while, kind of gelling my own, like, a new position, a new job title in hockey. I've been working on a book with examples on things I've done to help players and how crucial of a role someone like me provides. So going back to, like, the injuries and the concussions and stuff, I mean, it sucks, but boxers, they get concussions. They know what they're getting themselves into when they get in the ring for 12 rounds with, you know, whoever they're fighting. They know what they're getting into. And I think we become so sensitive in today's age that, you know, everybody's afraid of something. And it's like, we don't really live if we live in fear, you know, fear of what could be. What about, you know, what could happen, what bad could happen, well, what good could happen, you know? And it saddens me to see that we're living in that time where everything is, you know, under a microscope. And it's like,
Yeah, it's not going to get any better either.
no, I know that. And I mean, when you talk about
Yeah.
fighting and how if it was still involved in the game, it would keep more people interested. I know the people that hate the fighting and the physicality, they're still going to watch, you know, and
Oh,
us
yeah.
that like the fighting, we're still going to watch.
Invite
At
me
the
next
end of the
time you
day.
go out. Where were you? Where were they fighting? I'd love to come. Ken, tell me. I'll show up to the rink. I'll come watch. I'll hang out in the stands. Won't even know there.
So I wanted to ask you, Ken, I usually start this, but we kind of talked a little bit before we started filming. I want to know a little bit about how you got into hockey. Like, where did your journey start?
Well, I grew up in a small town down near Windsor called Dresden, and I played hockey all through the minor system there, and you know, a little bit different growing up back then. I actually was a decent hockey player, and I played with a couple guys who went on to be, you know, one guy had a professional career. But in fact, two of my line mates went first round that year in the minor league in the midget draft, and so I played and just didn't have the, you know, you try to help people out with things. I had good work ethic, but I just didn't have the focus to keep working hard at it, and end up getting an injury on my shoulder, and I just kind of packed it in. But, you know, I played a lot. I loved the game. It was basically the rink or the racetrack for me. Like we were at the rink 24/7, guys, in my small town. For, you know, we lived out there. We used to go out there before school in the morning and open the back door and go skating there for 4 or 5 of us before school. And the arena manager actually let us do that. You imagine somebody letting people do that these days?
Impossible.
I'm not even that old. So that's kind of, you know, it was a love. Like we did a lot of, you know, we basically lived hockey. It was either on the ice or on the grass or either pavement at the school, or, you know, it was you know, that's the way we grew up. We played it and we loved it. And I think that, you know, I always loved the game, and, you know, just, you know, sometimes if you look back, you wish you would have did this, would have did that, but I kind of got out of it and then got back into it, and it's been, you know, it's been good. I've been able to hang out with a lot of good people in the hockey game. First of all, I got involved with Dale Howardchuk in Barrie, who was a guy that helped me out a lot in life and taught me a lot about hockey, and then moved on to work with, you know, the London team. You know, Basil McRae was there, Rob Simpson, who's been there ever since I've been there. He's GM of the team as well. And Mark Hunter and Dale and the rest of the guys. It's, you know, I've been around so many good people. You're like a sponge. You just keep listening and learning, and finally one day you might figure it out. You know, I haven't figured it out quite, but I'm on the way.
Ken, I had a question for you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had one question. So you left hockey at midget level, then you started life, and then you came back, what, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, into scouting again, or back into hockey? Or was it 10 years ago now?
Oh, I ended up playing some junior hockey. I ended up playing like tier 2 and stuff like that, and some college hockey. And but after an injury, a shoulder injury, when I was 19, I just couldn't do it anymore. In fact, my arm, can't even move my arm hardly some of these days now. I had a big operation, so it was too tough to go on. You know, I just couldn't do it. 27 times I dislocated my shoulder before I had it operated on. So, so that's, you know. And then I actually went out to in school. I took broadcasting. I went out west to work. And when I was in Red Deer, I actually got back into hockey for a year. I was working at a radio and TV station there, and I went down to do a story on the new college coach in town, Red Deer College Kings, and that coach was Mike Babcock.
No way.
I did a little story on Mike, and just, he knew that I liked hockey and talked hockey, and he just kind of out of the blue said, "Why don't you come down and help me coach?" You know, I think kind of more of a joking way, but you don't joke about that stuff with me. And next thing I know, I was end up helping him coach the team for a year. So I got back into it then, but I actually could have been the play-by-play voice of a Western Hockey League team, but I decided to come back to Ontario. And then I always stuck around, went to games, did play-by-play hockey. I did the AHL play-by-play for the Hamilton, we called the Hamilton Canucks, they were called back then. And, like always around the rink, always hung around. And then, then when things took a little bit of a turn, had to find something else, I got involved with the hockey, and that's where I ended up getting a little bit of a foot in the door through Dale Howardchuk and working with him and Barry.
Perfect. I didn't know that.
Yeah. You have me thinking about, like, I'm part of that generation too, of where we were playing outside, and in the winter we were on the pond playing pickup or road hockey on the streets, wherever we can get it. And you notice, like, me personally, like, I don't see that anymore. When I'm driving the streets, you normally would see at least one hockey game going down on one neighborhood street. You just don't see that anymore.
Some places wouldn't let you do it anymore, for one thing, which is kind of silly, but I mean, they're on the roads, that was, but like there's, these old tennis courts, man, oh man, those things would have been gobbled up when I was growing up too. There's old tennis courts and even the outdoor rinks, big parking lots, like, for example, the CAA Center, a bunch of kids could get together and go over there and play a game of road hockey. And that would have been the case 30 years ago. Would have been, there was usually 2 or 3 road hockey games going on in my small town when we were kids. And I haven't seen a road hockey game in a long time. I haven't, come to think of it. It's a little bit busier now too around a lot of the places, but still, it's just not something the kids do. They'd rather play NHL hockey on the video, I guess, right?
It's a sad reality. You see a little bit of more basketball, especially in lieu of the Raptors win. You see a lot of people with basketball.
Yeah, basketball is, a lot of people have always had basketballs and basketball nets in their properties and shot hoops and stuff. It's a fun little game. It doesn't require a lot of equipment or anything. You just shoot around and have some fun. So, and I think that basketball too is, it's a more of a multicultural game than hockey is too. So the kids, of all races are out there playing and they enjoy it. It's easy to do. And, hockey's, I don't want to say it's a dying sport in Canada, but with the way things are now, it's just not the number one sport for some people. It's, there's other sports that are taking over now. So, and hockey's not cheap to play either. It's an expensive game to play.
And it just gets more expensive.
Yeah.
Do you find with the price of living, the politics of hockey, coaches in hockey, do you find that, you're watching a lot of these kids quit before minor midget, that you hear about in bantam and minor bantam? Like, you hear about these kids, are not even the kids quitting, but, sizzling out, fading.
Yeah, there's, in the AAA level, most of the top players keep going. Until minor midget at least. And then it's usually when they're 18 or 19, if you can see if they want to continue or not, or even after their draft year, if they're going to work hard, continue to work hard. But I think most of the kids that I get to see are pretty focused and dedicated and, want to keep playing as hard as they can, as long as they can. So I don't see a lot of the kids. I mean, I guess if you looked at a Pee-wee if I looked at an 05 Pee-wee roster and then looked at the 05 Pee-wee roster, a couple years later, I'm sure there's a few kids that won't be on the team, but I think all the kids that were dedicated and loved the game back then, they'll still be playing hockey.
Did you grow up a Leaf fan or a Wings fan?
Well, I grew up I liked Montreal when I was growing up.
Okay.
I was never a diehard fan though. Like, some people are diehard fans. I just like watching. I didn't, when Guy Lafleur was my favorite player. So obviously every time Montreal won or he scored, it was a nice moment. But I mean, I guess when I was younger, I was more of a diehard fan of Montreal, but now I just,
it changes when you start working in hockey. It's like, who are you a fan of?
But it's still, I just like watching. Like, even everybody says, who's your favorite NFL team? Like, just whoever got the most money bet on that weekend. No, I'm just joking. But whoever, like, I just like watching teams. I just like watching it, like win or lose. I just think that I hear people too negative all the team when their teams lose, and I don't understand that. Like, especially these Leafs fans in Toronto, man. These people are like, I don't know. They whine and whine and whine. I'm sitting there, man. First of all, it's just a hockey game, and second of all, it's they didn't win. They got beat by a better team. There's always somebody going to
It's
win.
been a long time for Leaf fans, though. I mean,
No,
one of
I
the
know.
longest routes.
I know. I guess it's just, I don't know. It might be a while yet, too. I don't know. Who knows?
I'm actually a new Leaf fan because my favorite player, Joe Thornton, just signed for 1 year with the Leafs, and I actually followed him from Boston to San Jose and became a pretty diehard Sharks fan for the longest time. And now he's here and I'm also a fan of Pittsburgh, but that's a different story. But I followed.
I got a good Joe Thornton story. I was working in London at the arena, and for the Knights, I was actually going way back. I did play-by-play for the Knights a long time ago, and Joe Thornton's mother worked at the office, and she brought him in one day to play. We were playing some shinny on the ice, and this kid was 14 years old out in the ice with us, and I was like, "Oh my God, I don't know who this kid is." But I actually called a friend of mine who was in the law business and is now an agent, but his friend was an agent. I said, "I don't know who this kid is, but he's going to need an agent. He's going to be a heck of a hockey player." He's about 6'2" back then. He was dangling around all us guys, and there were some good guys on the ice, like 21-year-old guys. I remember Trevor Dam was out there. He played a little bit of a pro and stuff. And Joe was it was unbelievable. He had this real short stick, and he could just stick handle through anybody.
Yeah, he's. I fell in love with his style back when he was drafted, when he started playing with Boston. It's been quite the journey.
That's a great addition to that team.
Yeah, they really piled up this year.
He really is a class guy. He's just you don't hear anybody say anything bad about that guy.
No, just Vancouver Canucks fans.
Oh yeah.
Mortarella.
But no, Joe's he's living out there in the sunshine, the warm weather, and he's taking a shot coming here for the winter, I guess. And it's kind of guy he is. I think his family's going to see him play a little bit more. They've had to travel out west every time they had to be near him, or hit road trips here. But he's in Toronto for a year, and they're pretty tight knit family, I guess. And so Joe will be able to, I don't think he'll play every game this year, but he'll end up playing more than people think he is, because he'll be putting up more points than a lot of guys probably.
I got a question.
Yeah, he's. Go
Sorry,
ahead,
finish up.
What's that?
No, I was going to say, I got a question for Ken. It's just been on my mind with this Joe Thornton talk, being 14. Is there any kids that surprised you? You know what I mean? That you scouted that you didn't think that were going to be anything, or, not anything, but, just didn't impress you. And then, 2020, hindsight, you said, I made a mistake. I should have taken him. Is there anybody off the top of your head that you could share his name, or, you could share a story with a player, maybe something like that, from your travels? Because I know we have a lot of younger listeners, listening right now. So is there anybody at the top of your head, you went to go watch him with a group of people, and, maybe you guys decided to pass, and then, a year later or 6 months later, you guys made a mistake? Has there already been any of those opportunities?
Well, we try to forget those, to be honest with you. So I don't, what, like I can't really, since I've been in London, we've always picked really late in the first round too, right? So it was all, we didn't get a chance to get those, the kids who were ranked, in the top 10 at least, but, I can't actually think of anybody right now that we missed on. I mean, for some reason, we always miss in our third round picks in London. That seems to be kind of a joke in our team. If you look at our third round picks, but our first round picks been pretty good, and guys that we thought might not be as good as they are right now. I think when it comes down to that, Christian, when we question a guy's playing ability, we can always see a skill in a guy and whatever in the work ethic, but it's the skating. Sometimes you just wonder if the skating can get better, and that's what happens I'll give you an example of a kid that I really, really liked was Tyson Forrester. He played in Barrie in minor midget. But his skating wasn't the greatest, but he had everything else. He was a hard-working kid. He wanted to get better. He wanted to be a hockey player, and a lot of people really miss that kid, I guess. Not just London, but he ended up going the fourth round in the OHL draft and ends up being a first-round NHL pick. That's pretty impressive. So, yeah, I guess if there's a kid that you wish you could have said, hey, you could have pounded the table more for in the OHL, that Tyson Forrester would have been a kid that I like, did I think he'd be as good as he is right now? No, I didn't think he was going to be a first round NHL pick, but he is. But you know, I get that would be a name that would come up. You know, I'm sure there are other people in the OHL that are saying the same thing. I mean, there's probably a few other guys liked him and, you know, said, "Oh, we should have taken him," But they give Barry credit. They took him a third or fourth round. I can't remember. Maybe it was the third.
Every year you guys do so well. Every year you guys load up for playoffs. You trade away your whole team, and then the following September, you guys have a contender every year again. And I'm just like, don't know how you guys do it. You guys got good scouting staff. I'll tell you that for free. Good scouting staff. So.
Oh, the guys that run the team are pretty sharp. So they work hard. Like I said, they got to put 9,000 people in that building every night. So takes a lot of work to keep a winning team up. And it's a lot of work. It's not just sitting in the office making calls. It's zipping out to games here and there, and you know, trying to find those diamond in the roughs. And it takes work. It takes work, and you got to watch them. You got to work to try to get kids. And London gets a lot of players, but there's a lot of work involved when getting those players. A lot of follow up and just keeping an eye on them, keeping in contact with the players, their agents, their families.
So, how many games a year do you think you watch, or your team?
Pardon me?
How many games do you think your scouting staff or you watch, or you know what I mean, kind of the average?
We watch a lot. I mean, you know, I would say probably on video and at games and bits and parts of games, probably 400 to 500 games our scouts would see. Like I said, that's parts of games and online games and in attendance games, tournaments. They add up pretty quickly.
Damn.
For the areas that we have in our league, like the GTHL, the area that I cover for London, you know, I usually go to 4 or 5 games a week. You try to catch, you know, there's going to be days where there's 2 or 3 at one rink, and you know, if there might be one at one rink at 7, one rink at 9. You try to do that the double headers like that. So you can't go every day, you know.
Let me ask you, Ken. When you go to watch a game in person, what are you looking for? Like, or even however you watch them online or whatever, what are you looking for? What are the 3 main things that you're looking for in a player? And like on the ice and off the ice, if it's a combination.
Well, on the ice, obviously, they got to be noticeable. You know, a good player is always noticeable. When you pick out the good guys, see how many plays they make, see how they skate, watch their body language, see how hard they work. You know, when they're on the ice for 45 seconds, or they work 45 seconds, or they give up near the end 30 seconds, kind of coast the last 15. You know, are they playing hard every shift, even when they're losing or, you know, winning by 4 or 5 goals. Just you look for lots of things and look where they play, what position, you know, how they're used by their coaches, you know, power plays, penalty kills. Do they play wing? Do they play center? Does a good player go back and play the point, the power play? You try to make note of all the things you can, but you know, really the couple of things that you notice, you can always notice, you know, after watching a period or 2, you can, if you go in there, you know, blind and don't know the team, you can always pick out the kids who make the most plays. You just kind of keep a note or little ticks every time they touch the puck or something. And you know, you got to make plays when you're on the ice.
How important is their off ice character?
That's very important. And that's, you know, sometimes teams get fooled by kids, and it's not that kids are trying to fool them. You just think they're, you know, you just think they're going to be another 2 years, they're going to be big, strong guys. Well, then they don't want to work hard at it. Right. And, you know, you hear stories about this kid and about that kid, and like give an example that, you know, the boy that Arizona drafted. I mean, I you know, like that poor kid, like, and even when he was a minor midget, you know, we had heard that, you know, the kids, you know, trouble kind of follows around a little bit, and you thought maybe he would, I'm sure he smartened up. It's just that happened a few years ago, and it's kind of stuck with him, unfortunately. And it's, you know, I feel a little bit sorry for the boy because, you know, it's his life and it's his career, but you know, the way things are now, you can't mess around. You mess around, you're going to pay for it. So
yeah, no, I'm with you.
I tried not to read anything about it because I don't like reading stuff like that. Yeah. And yeah, I know he did something bad to a boy, and I was astonished that he never at least apologized to the kid. I couldn't understand that. So
I think that people around you, that's why it's so important to have good coaches and good mentors and good, teachers around children that are molding these people to become adults. Not only are they athletes, but they're also human beings. And I think that a lot of people in Mitchell's life kind of didn't do their job properly. I mean, especially
yeah,
with
somebody screwed up.
someone along there. And I'm not taking anything away from Mitchell. The whole thing I think was played out bad. I was hoping that Arizona was going to just stand by and maybe be that one team that says, you know what, we can take in this rotten potato or rotten egg and we can turn him into a good human being. Not only just for
Yeah.
his hockey. I think they missed the bar there. And I mean, pressure on social media, that's what it's brought us to these days. I mean, you can't really, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But I think Arizona, in my opinion, should have kind of like owned up to their choice and showed it was an opportunity missed here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't want to comment on it too much, but like I said, it was they could have turned this kid's life around and made him maybe a spokesman for people who have disabilities or something like that, and then but no and like the media does kill a lot of things and just keeps pounding it in their faces, and if nobody would have said a word about that for 2 or 3 days, everything would have been fine probably. But it's just there's too much information out there, and you just can't get away with anything. If you do something you're not supposed to do, you're going to get in trouble for it somehow, or somebody's going to you're going to be embarrassed.
I'd just like to point at this point that I'm so happy I had no social media or smartphones when I was growing up, because who knows what would have been brought back to roast me in my adult years. Christian.
Ken, did you watch Ty Nelson at all this year?
Oh yeah, I watched him a lot. I mean,
First overall talent in your opinion?
Yeah, he the problem with him is just the size. That's all the problem. But like when I mentioned before, you watch a kid play, you notice that kid in the ice every shift. He plays hard every shift. He makes plays when he gets the puck. He competes. He wants to win. He loves the game. He just
Is there anybody else
he's just an all-around good hockey player. Like I said, he'll do well in the OHL. I hope he can put another inch or two on, and then he's got a really, really good chance. But he's a kid who wants it. He just, doesn't matter if it's practice or skills or skating lessons or in the gym. Ty was always one of the hardest workers, and he's also a good boy, a good team player. He's well liked by his teammates. He's respected by other players, and he's a competitor. I watched him. I remember seeing him playing the All-Star game this past year, the minor midget All-Star game. Man, he was going 120% every shift. He was out there to prove to people that he was, one of the top picks in the draft. And fortunately for him, he went up first overall. And
is there anybody else that
he'll have a good career in the OHL? That boy.
Is there anybody else that stands out to you right now? Do you think they'll have a good career? You know what I mean? For minor midgets, any other big minor midget names that you can think of off the top of your head right now? Maybe one that London picked, or maybe somebody for them to watch out, another for the fans to watch out for the next couple of years. Is there anybody else at the top of your head?
I mean, the way we picked last year, we picked the kid from Ottawa, speedy forward. I think he's going to be really good in our league, and because he's got speed and he can go hard. We got another boy. We got the second round, Ottawa kid, DJ Smith's son. A boy who really can play the hockey game real well, does everything well. Just right now he's working on his feet, but this kid gets points. His skating's off, but he still puts up points and scores goals. I think he'll have a 80 to 90 point year in the OHL in his third year probably.
Damn. We
got a nice defenseman last year, kid out of York Simcoe, real good skater. Can shoot the puck really hard. Jackson Edwards, his name. Then we got another boy, a younger boy, smaller kid out of the East Coast. His boy played for Mark Hunter and Sarnia, John Sim.
Wow.
His boy Landon. He's going to be a decent player. We got a couple kids from last year who, learned the ropes. Stuart Roloffs, who was our first round pick, and then we got Max McHugh, our second round pick. They're both probably going to be on the NHL. I think both those boys will get drafted NHL. Another boy is Logan Mayu. He played junior B last year, defenseman. Watch for his name this year. He got 60 points, was rookie of the year in the junior B league. he's about 6'3" or 4, and another kid that loves the game and works hard, has skill, just needs to learn how to play, play in the defensive zone a little bit better, like all the kids do when they come to the OHL. But if they learn from Dale Hunter and produce, they'll get a real good chance to be drafted high in the NHL draft next year, those boys.
Perfect.
I like how you talk about work ethic and how hard players have to work. One of the things that I like when I watch an athlete is how hard they're working, because they might not be as good as they could be, but if they're willing to put the work in and they show that, they could be that good. And I stress this to any athlete that I work with about work ethic and like how to structure yourself to become better at what you do and manage your time and so on and so forth. So it's nice to hear you say that, because I've been practicing this for some time now.
Yeah, and they got to have the right mindset too. The kids, the work. You got to be focused when you work out for an hour, and you got to put your mind to it. You got to put the phones away, and just put your mind to it and do it, and just think of the rewards after. And the harder you work, the better your chance you have at it. But it's a big commitment to the young kids, and it's a lot of work. And most of them can do it. And I think it's a lot to do with their upbringing too. If they're pushed hard and they're taught the right things to do, I think you'll see their transition and discipline situations work a lot easier. So we research the children, the parents, the brothers, if they got their athletic ability of their family.
Oh, really?
We always look, we try to talk to the school about the boys, and make sure they're well behaved and respectful in school, and because one bad apple on a hockey team can screw up a team.
Oh yeah.
So you don't want any.
I was going to ask you, what are you doing aside from hockey when you're not at the rink scouting? You know what I mean? You're not.
Well, I just I work with a guy and sell racehorses, standardbred racehorses. Business is a little tough right now because of COVID. Obviously, it's affected a lot of things, but it's just this time of the year right now. There's not a lot of action going on, so I worked hard at it in the summer, and was able to do pretty well. So. And I run some skating and some stuff around the area, and keep busy. Got a couple daughters, and just try to stay out of trouble.
do you do the horse stuff in Dresden, or where do you do that stuff? Or where you reside?
Oh, no, I grew up in the small town I grew up in, had a racetrack, Dresden, but the horses that I'm involved with now are standardbreds, and they race around the area. But I act as a broker for people. People call me, want me to find horses for them, and I find horses, and then I sell them to people.
Awesome. Okay, that's cool. That's good. The only reason I ask is because a lot of people, probably are wondering what you do during the day, because most of hockey.
Yeah, well, some people have regular 9-to-5 jobs. I know some guys are firemen, some guys are whatever, but I'm a self-employed guy. I do my different stuff, and I'm always busy.
Always busy. Busy's good. With COVID, London, NHL, yourself, do you have a need and a want for the seasons to start up, or do you think it'd be fine if nothing does happen with the horses? Like, because I know you say you're busy, and I know you got Lisa, and I know you got the stuff out in Vaughan. I know you're skating all over. And I know that you're a busy guy, but if, hockey doesn't start up, you're going to be fine. You're going to be taken care of, mentally and stuff, for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I got other things I can do as well too. Right. So, I mean, I would hate to get out of it, not to do it, but you got to survive too. Right. But I think we'll be all right. I think we'll get back going here, and the season will get going, and we'll get out and about again. I feel we will. I mean, there's probably people saying you're stupid. You shouldn't be saying that, but like I'm not, I know the disease is bad. I know it's whatever, but I mean, I still think if you go out and take responsibility and respect the law and the rules of everything, and, we can still play hockey. We can still go to restaurants. Do I want to go to a restaurant as much like I did before? No, but I still want to go to hockey games all the time. And it's tough not being able to go. It's, it's work, but it's also fun too, right? It's a little bit of, you enjoy it. You enjoy watching, watching a kid play in September, then seeing him play again in November, and then January, and just see how far he's come. And, just how, you know, how some kids are starting. This is usually a time of the year after the first couple months of the season where you see the kids starting to separate a little bit, right? You'll see the kids who are the better kids kind of separating, you know, the top 2 round kids will be, you know, now starting to, you know, be the guys who lead their teams, and, you know, the guys who aren't quite as good as those players. They're the guys that maybe fall back a little bit, and then you get another couple months in, and then you see if those good players are still way ahead of everybody, or they continue to be ahead of everybody. And then you maybe notice a couple kids who are behind that are coming back and finding their stride. So it's, you know, it's a cycle for those kids. And obviously when you scout them, 90% of the kids you scout, you don't want to make, they're not going to make the team the next year. It's a projection a year or two down the road, right? So you like to see a kid keep getting better and keep developing.
That's one of the things that I found in my 20 years working on hockey, is seeing a kid end up in the NHL and just or in Europe or wherever they go. Like it's even when you have the smallest part, you're a small piece to their development and their journey, it still feels good to see this. It's very satisfying is what I'm trying to say. I wanted to ask you about, let's kind of go back to the NHL, and I wanted to ask who you thought the top maybe like 3 players are in the NHL, players that is skaters, and then who do you think is the number 1 most underrated player in the NHL?
Okay, well, I got it. My brain, my memory's not quite as good as it was here, but I'm trying to think of an underrated player. But I think the 3 best players in the game right now, obviously McDavid, Crosby is obviously, you know, but those are the 2 guys. And from there, I mean, you got Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner. I mean, he's good, but he's not quite the star those guys are. Ovechkin. No, I can't say Joe Thornton. Sorry, not right now. But, you know, maybe 10 years ago I could have. But, you know, and I mean, the kid on Tampa Bay is really good.
Kucherov.
Yeah, Kucherov. Like they're. So right now, I would say Kucherov, McDavid, and Crosby are the 3 best players in the NHL. And there's a lot of players right near them. McKinnon is right near them.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know, there's so many. There's 7 or 8 guys right on their tail right now, and McKinnon might be the first guy to step up into that number 3.
Yeah, I'm loving watching McKinnon late. The last season especially. Whatever.
Even Drouin's turned into a heck of a hockey player down.
I like Draisaitl too, another hockey player I like to watch.
Yeah, he's good too. He's another one. So there's so many good hockey players, and really, I mean, those are the top 3, and then from after the next 15, there's a lot of good ones. There's not very little separation.
Yeah, it's tough to do between 5 and 20, in my opinion. I always
there's probably 15 guys we can put in that category.
Did you follow along in the playoffs these past playoffs? Yeah,
I did, because there's nothing else to do, and I actually I picked the Islanders as a long shot team, and they actually didn't do too bad. I just liked the way they were coached and the way they played, and
I like their coach
they had
too.
a good defensive core. Yeah, I watched it. I actually enjoyed it. You know, I think Tampa Bay was the best team. I mean, they were the team. They beat my Islanders, so the Islanders team I picked, and the Islanders did everything they could to beat them. And then Dallas got banged up pretty good. I wish Dallas would have been a little healthier. Dallas could have possibly won the Stanley Cup, but they were a little wore out, and they were a little battered up, and they did well, but they just couldn't beat Tampa Bay with what they had.
So we have a season potentially starting in January to March, somewhere between that, with possibly 48 games, I think was the lowest they were willing to go. Do you see that happening? And if so, do you see a regular season starting in, October of 2021 for the next?
I don't know. I just hope they do play in January. I think they'll be able to figure something out. It's going to be a lot of work and a lot of money. And, there again, you don't have fans in the building. You're relying on your television. There's no sponsorship really. I'm sure they're thinking of ways to do some sponsorship in the ranks by whatever. But, it's going to be tough to do that too. I don't think it's going to be normal this year. And I'm hoping that everything gets back to normal. And then the September training camp start, and then the NHL starts again in October. They'll do everything they can to get it in this winter, I think. And I think they will. I think it'll be something that happens.
I'm all out of whack. I mean, like, I'm used to hockey. I still find myself waking up and checking my phone for tonight's games. And I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
well,
okay.
I know, I hear you. I hear you. And there's no games on tonight. If you got you got hockey TV, you can watch some junior games from out in Alberta and some games in the state. So you can watch.
Yeah, no, I've got some
You can watch it.
sites.
You can watch the Quebec Major Junior League. They're playing.
That's good.
With contact.
I think they are, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're playing with contact. They wouldn't play that. The Canadian Hockey League won't play a regular season without contact. I don't think. I'd be shocked.
You an Islanders fan, Ken, or you just wanted them to win?
Oh, I like that Barzell boy.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about Ho-Sang. I want to know your opinion on him. Because
Well, we talked about character and off ice stuff and whatever. He, it's not a secret. He got tagged with that reputation, and I don't, why did he get tagged with it? I don't know. I don't know the boy that well. I know him. I got to see him play a lot. And yeah, he's a hell of a hockey player. He could fly around out there. He could do a lot of special things, but when it came to some things, he just didn't have the support of, the coaches and the GMs. And I mean, I do believe he played in the American Hockey League last year. Did he get a few games in with the Islanders?
He played 12 games. He had 8 points in 12 games, and he got sent down to the American League the year before.
Yeah.
He had 22 games with 13 points. He got sent down. So he's at a half a point a game at the NHL level. They just don't use him more. If they call him up, he gets first, second line minutes. And then when he goes down to the American League, he gets third and fourth line minutes in the American League. I know him personally. I've been trying to get.
Well, he can play. No doubt he's a heck of a hockey player. I mean, even going back to his OHL draft year there, he ended up going maybe 5th or 6th overall or 3rd. I can't remember, but a lot of people thought he'd go 1st overall.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He played up a year all through minor hockey, and he was fun to watch. No doubt about that, man. He picked that puck up and he could zip down the ice quicker than 99% of the people out there.
You think he could play in the NHL today?
I think he can. Something's got to work out. He's got to get some better luck, better life luck, maybe, come back after this break here. And, maybe he's, matured more. That's maybe the word that comes to mind when you think of Josh. But like I said, I don't know the boy personally. I'm going off what I hear and what I see, like what I read. And, but as far as talent goes and hockey sense and speed and shooting, yeah, he's got all the tools to be an NHL hockey player. And I hope he gets there, because he was really fun to watch when he was younger.
Yeah, you think he just won his arbitration deal the other day too. That's why I mentioned that. So.
Oh, he did win it. Good for him.
Yeah, he won it. I think him and another player, Warren Fogle, North Carolina.
Oh yeah, Fogle. Yep. There's a boy who never got drafted in his OHL draft here. Went to SAC, and then he got
drafted in the midget draft, or the minor midget draft as a midget player before he went to Northeastern by the Frontenacs. And then, because he got drafted 2 years after his minor midget with the 98 draft, he went.
Yeah.
So he went to Northeastern, or he went to somewhere for school, and then he signed with Gilmore, and then he got flipped to Erie. But he was in arbitration too, and he just won his arbitration deal the other day. So.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, because Joe Resnick is his agent, I believe, and then Ho-Sang's agent is Ian Pulver and John Walters. So they've been busy getting some work.
Oh, they got. I think Ho-Sang was the new guy actually.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, it's called Creative InDesign Management. It's a one guy that's from the island of. He's from the island where Josh plays, but I think he only has 2 or 3 hockey players.
Oh, okay.
Not even professional. So he joined some creative agency. So who knows?
Okay, so we've got just less than a minute left. I wanted to end this with a question I want to ask all my guests moving forward. Ken, you're stuck on a private island. What are you taking? 3 things with you. Stranded on an island. 3 things. What are you taking?
Oh goodness, my computer. Oh goodness gracious, what am I going to take? That's I don't know. I'm stranded. What am I, on an island?
Yeah.
3 things I'm taking. Well, I'd take a boat too.
There you go. I was waiting for that.
And a fishing rod.
Sounds good.
And find something to eat. I know.
Well, Ken, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. Christian, thank you for joining us again as well. This show can be heard on the Barn Burner Radio Network on 122 platforms. The H.E.R Network is part of the Barn Burner Media Network. Please check out barnburner.ca for all the news and programming. Barn Burner, watch it, hear it, read it, live it, download it. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Kat.